As it is 7 p.m., we will officially call the city council meeting to order. If everyone's had an opportunity to review the claims for payment as well as the minutes from last month's meeting, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Neil.
Motion by Neil.
Second, Krista.
Seconded by Krista.
Discussion,
Any
Tracy,
further
do you have some corrections on those?
I looked at it and I did not get a chance to do any corrections on it.
I am of the firm opinion we need to amend the written, handed out, minutes on the discussion on the Nibel water line.
Okay, what is not accurate?
Tracy has mine right up. We just did it last minute, I was off today and we didn't have any time to review this.
One thing I was gonna point out if we're at the discussion stages, it's, I'm sure, is it a old 10-inch water main? Instead of a 10-foot?
Oh, yep, you're right.
Yep. And then the other thing, I just on the on-call maintenance, it's Merlin. Nothing. Marin instead of Marin. Just, but I don't know about the content of the water.
Thank you.
So you have highlighted, Dave, the third line where it says these properties are now serviced through, and you think it should say the connected line that was installed during the 2018 water loop project.
It used to say what?
It said the new line, but you have it new X'd out and it says the connection line.
I left that copy, I have to come and look. So originally it said, what you guys ran through the new line, the new connection that was installed during the 2018 project, not the new line. There was no new line to the private property owners, it's just a new connection at that point, is what I wanted to clarify there. And then in the second paragraph, it was always, we talked about it last council meeting that we put this if it was ever needed, if it was gonna be needed down the road, if it was so needed. So it's almost, it almost says, where I was referring to was discuss the purpose of the new connection during the looping project was so the city would be able to utilize the portion of the 2-inch water line between the connection as part of the redundant plant. The only way that we could use that is if the current owners would have to abandon it. And that had not been done in place where you said in foresight, if they did abandon it, how would we use it? And I don't think that's portrayed in the verbiage, because once it becomes a city property, then we don't have to have that RPZ valve, that meter, because then it's all just like anything else. The RPZ later on, and the meter and the shut off is all after it leaves the city main and goes outside the city limits to a private property. Is what
I understand that, but the whole point of this conversation was their request to abandon the line.
Right.
Right. So we're trying to put A and B before C, you know.
So you just want that better clarified in
Yeah.
here per their request to
Right.
abandon the line.
Right, so,
Okay.
right now, we've gotta act on this, how we're gonna handle it. I either turn it back to going through an RPZ valve or I leave it as is.
So I have a question about that I asked David, and I emailed you, but never,
Yeah, I did not, I've asked around, it's not a state,
so what, we've always put them through RPZ valves.
As our city ordinance. we have-
I couldn't find it, we could not find it anyplace. Where's it at? Because we couldn't find it in any ordinance, we looked and looked for hours, and could not find it. Because if that's the case, then we've been operating against our own ordinance for years then. So if we
Well,
get it,
some do and some don't, Jeff, you're correct.
right, and like, for example,
which ones don't have it?
Sleepy Eye's got some that have it, some that don't have it.
No, I know, but which ones in our city ordinance? don't have
Okay,
it?
so we have one private line going north of town, Hennens,
That has it,
and that's
right?
in a vault. That's got a meter,
Yeah.
shut off valve, RPZ valve in the vault.
Yep,
There's one going out west of
we
town
just have one.
that has a meter.
No RPZ valve?
There's a check valve in there. Check valve.
That's interesting.
Okay, so then there's one going to back out to the south of town, and that has two separate two-way check valves, no meter. No, I take that back, one meter and one no meter.
So I guess, I'm curious as if we're meeting our ordinance or not, that's what I'm curious about. So I'd like to find it, because we looked and looked and looked, and we could not find it.
Sure, it's under the.
In
water.
ordinance or in the state law?
It's not a state law, I asked him, it's not a state law,
But
and I
you-
couldn't find it in our, and we looked through 7 different water ordinances and we couldn't find any place.
I don't-
I thought it was there
I'll forward
too.
that to you.
I thought it was there too, that's what we were looking for.
Yep.
But the problem is that the problem I have with this, as I was telling David, is that we're not even meeting our own ordinance requirements.
Or we can't find.
Yes.
Yes.
I like to have it, it's not a bad practice.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Especially if you got an active farm site.
Exactly. I know the reason for it, there's 100% reason why we do it.
Exactly, if you got chemicals and that kind of thing out on the other end.
Yes,
And-
exactly.
Is there also wells out there?
Yeah.
Well, then there's another double reason.
I know.
If you got a well and if you're an active farm site with potential chemicals, maybe you should have it.
Does everybody on the council understand what the RPZ vote does?
Tell me.
So it is so that if the pressure here drops to a certain level and creates a suction, that you can't draw stuff off the farm site or off of another well or off of something, off the site.
Right.
Yeah, you can't siphon it backwards to mix into our water system.
Or even secondary, if they happen to be with their well on and their well supersede or is higher than your
Higher
pressure,
pressure,
your
right.
pressure, it would push back.
We
It's a
have-
backflow preventer.
We have it on the ballpark, we were.
Sure.
So they get, that water can't sit in the field and it can be sucked back into the, where the chemicals and stuff are.
Back-
So, I don't know, it's a great position, if we could find an ordinance, I think, should be ordered into our ordinance.
Yeah, I will do my homework and I know.
We were looking.
Or just add it to your.
Yeah. And what David's comment before was about an active farm site, your site is not active for chemicals. Nybauer's, actually, this law is so old, and it's a good law, but nobody mixes chemicals on the farm anymore. Everybody has their separate water tank. The chemicals have become so expensive that they're mixing it in what they call an inductor, right on the truck and stuff. So this is actually an out-of-date law, but it is good protection. And that's why when we started putting the check valves in, two-way check valves, I was very happy with those, even though that they don't meet the official code requirement that we can't find.
As it pertains to the minutes, however,
Sorry.
it should be stated that per the landowner's request, we entered into a discussion, it's their request to abandon the line with the ensuing conversation and the benefit that it would serve to the city.
I feel better just that it was discussed and, there's some inconsistencies.
Is there anything
Let's
else?
see.
Any other changes?
Did I miss something?
Well, I don't know, I didn't read it.
Dave, I want to ask one more question. I hate to interrupt you guys, but have you used the 10-inch line since we hooked on 8-inch?
The Rhode Island Beam Plant is using that 10-inch line right now, and Sheehan's
So,
has an outside meter on that.
okay, so it is pressurized?
Yep.
The 10-inch line is pressurized?
Yep.
Okay, but if you ever wanted to do maintenance on the 8-inch line and shut it down for a while, you could feed the town from the 10-inch, right?
Absolutely.
So then you would still need that 10-inch line connected to all in the Nybauer farm sites. That connection we made gave you the redundancy to use A line or B line, north line or south line. So that's why.
Nobody's talking about abandoning the 10-inch. We're just saying, what if it fails? Because when I asked the engineer last time how long it's gonna last, he wouldn't give me a number.
That's why you got the 8-inch line, and that's why we reconnected to that other line. Exactly.
And Dave, you want clarification, where it says,
Where the city may use the line, but the private homeowner is required to have it. RPZ protection valve.
well, this is talking about moving the RPZ valve, but there isn't one to move. It would need to be installed.
And I don't, there is one RPZ valve for that 2-inch line in there, and I don't know that, if you wanna move, even touch it, you know. I'd like to leave that intact there, actually, but, someone must have talked about taking and reusing that, Jeff, do you remember that?
Well, yeah, because we said that if you're gonna hook up to the new line, then that valve should, you hook up to the new line, then that should get moved into a new pit off that line so that it meets the requirement of the ordinance. That was what the discussion was.
Yeah, and what my thinking would be with that, if we ever had to supply the Brenham bean plant from that pit, that would, we use for that at that time.
Yeah, but that's, again, they paid for the, well, that's a whole other conversation.
I stepped back from the conversation with that council meeting because, you know, in my mind, is this gonna be abandoned or isn't, it hasn't been decided yet, so I didn't want to throw a bunch of rules.
Well, I think the homeowners were asking, I mean, Mike and, they were asking for it to be abandoned, is what I understood. So they are intention to abandon it.
We just asked for it in writing, either an email or a letter addressed to the city.
Yeah.
So that it's,
And I know that, you know, I should have came with an estimate with RPZ valve, the meter, valve, plus the vault, you know, for the meter, but didn't get done.
so you're looking at replacing the terminology that says RPZ valve with meter shut off, is what you have written on here.
RPZ valve, and shut off.
So added as an
All three.
additional, okay. Did you see that on there? It's just, and the other stuff is just wordsmithing. It's just different terminology for the same thing, so.
My motion was to approve, and then and we had discussion, so can I amend my motion to eliminate the Nybo private water line until we get it rewritten and approve it at the next meeting? Or does it, how is exactly it gonna be written in here, that in case somebody takes issue with it in the future? We want it to be right.
Right.
So do we strike that, or do we just agree to do it with the changes? I think we just agree to do it with the changes.
What are the changes gonna be?
Well, that's good.
I think we need,
So many.
we need to add in that it was per the request of the landowners,
What's
That it be
gonna be
discussed.
stricken though? I mean,
and then, what was the part that he,
Here, I mean,
in the essence of time, would that be okay just to pull that out of the minutes and approve it at the next meeting? Is there some action we need to take on the Nybo or Lino line tonight?
no, but those, based on our discussion over the connector or the changes.
the essence of the conversation is correct, it's just,
Well,
Works.
you know, changing line to connection. Adding meter and shut off in addition to the RPZ valve.
yeah, I would offer it to the guy that brought it up. To make sure, or I'll rescind my motion and somebody else can move the motion. I think it just should be right.
Agreed.
I just want it
I
to
don't
be,
disagree.
so.
There's one other thing on the last column, wasn't there, Tracy, on our original, one we talked about?
Which one?
In the last paragraph, wasn't there something?
No,
Okay, well, I'm comfortable just that we discussed it. If I were the council, want to proceed, I'm happy.
So my motion would be to amend it with the corrections as Administrator All has presented it on her copy.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to approve with the corrections made to that conversation about the Orlingo private water line. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. And the land use permit application for 321 South 11th Street. The work plans. Have you looked at that date? Everything just falls within parameters?
Cement pad over by the library, as we anticipated, is over on the neighbor's property. It is not contained in the city line.
No, this is the workman
The
one.
workman, that's all within his building boundaries, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna do these together then. All right. And then 260 South Main, so the sidewalk is on,
The proposed pad there and floor and the pergola area will be across the city library property line. It's clearly marked out over there. We double checked it again.
I know they had changed the size of it to that. Did you see the,
Oh, they're changing the permit?
well, I don't know if they, when they first talked about it, I don't know if they had changed the size of it from when they first discussed it. So I didn't know if you saw this in time to actually go and, since you weren't here today.
As the permit showed with the 9-foot layout there, that would be over the property line.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure that.
That's just gonna change today, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, this came in today. That's why I wasn't sure if you had a chance.
Today, so I came with you. I'm gonna walk across the street real quick.
so this is an updated one.
This one just came in today.
This
so
is 8
was
by
added.
10, not 9.
But up above it says 9 foot by 11 foot
Yeah.
slab,
I see.
Yep. 4 and 8 by 10 pergola.
Fits in there, but we can't give them permission to go on someone else's property, we can't, hold everybody else to.
It's
To do it.
exactly right.
Exactly right.
Yep. You can't be an offender.
What is the council wishes?
I think
It
that-
can be approved pending they can get it to fit
That would be my-
their property only.
My motion would be that we approve it for permission with Dave meeting with them to make it within our property line.
Awesome.
Within the property boundary.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second on the table to approve the land use permit applications. Noted that on the 260 South Main Street, that working with city maintenance to ensure that the actual dimensions of the pergola fit within the owner's property only. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Open forum. Anyone here to speak on items not on the agenda? Teresa, what is yours?
Okay, so, I'm here as your representative for your community. I'm on the school board for the Boulder School District. And I just wanted to, bring you up to date as to what's going on right now. So, just in case you're not aware, we are working on another referendum. And, there were 4 options that came up throughout the planning. And after those 4 options came out, Nexus, the group that we're working with, decided to do a 50-question phone call survey to where they would call 400 people in the school district. Out of a possible approximately 3,000 registered voters, 400 people were called randomly throughout the district and asked these 50 questions. So when the survey came back, the people basically said they weren't interested in any of the options at that point. They wanted whatever we do to be based on needs, not wants. So they wanted bare bones for the school just to, because a lot of them said that they were very like financially stressed, barely making, their own payments for their homes and living expenses, whatever, so that's what they agreed to. Also in that survey, there was a pie-shaped thing that came out about what they thought should be done with the Rhode Island school. And at that time in the pie shape, there were like 24% said they want the school back there. Like another 18% said they wanted sports and whatnot. Another percentage came out to say community stuff, but a total of what they wanted for the Rhode Island school was 65% of the people wanted something in the Rhode Island school. So as we progressed, through this whole time, there's been no dialogue or wanting to dialogue with our neighboring district about consolidation again. That's just been a dead end issue. No one wants to proceed with that. So moving forward, they decided to come up with another plan. And as of last Wednesday at the facility committee meeting, the plan is as of now that Olivia will keep all K through 12. They're going to tear down the northwest corner at the tune of 8.3 million and put their kitchen over there and an upstairs for the biology and science where they'd have to put another elevator and whatnot. There's gonna be like a wrestling room, a fitness area, more classrooms on the south end, blah, blah, blah. For Rhode Island, what they have proposed is they're gonna tear down the lunchroom, the whole east wing, the 3-story building, and all that'll be left will be the 2 gyms, a couple rooms on the south end, and the west wing, which they won't do anything to those over there, and we will get a gravel parking lot where they tear down the school, it'll be gravel. So, as your representative, last Wednesday's meeting was very hard. I came up to the city office and asked, what do you want me to do as your representative of the school, for the whole school district? Do you want to pursue something? And this is what we came up with, and between Dawn and Stacy and I decided we would come up with a petition, right or wrong, don't know what to do. I don't know if this is the answer. I just feel that in order to be heard, because I asked at the facility committee meeting, when they shared that plan, I said, what about, can you draw up another plan for the Rhode Island school just to see what it would look like with K through 4, bare bones, whatever. They refused to go down that route. It's a refusal to even look beyond that, whether we consolidate, just have like a few options for the communities to decide themselves where they want to go instead of just being limited to one. Mind you, tearing down Rhode Island School wasn't even on option 1. So option 2, if people vote in option 1, Rhode Island would have to tear down their own 3-story building to the tune of 1.7 million. That's on option 2. And I have the stuff here, but anyway, this is the petition that we came up with, and I'm gonna let you guys read it and see what you think.
I just have one question, Teresa. When you stated that there's no interest in talking about consolidation with like Hector Stewart, is that the school administrations that are not interested, or is that coming from the communities?
It's not coming from the communities. Right now, it's coming from, because as of the board members, we as the board have had no input on any of what's going into the facilities plans at all. It's going through, the staff is deciding, the administration's deciding, and Nexus. So far as board members, I've been going to the facility committee, in the facility committee, we are getting the plans handed to us and we're discussing them, but we have the facility, we aren't deciding what to do with any of the schools. We're just showing up to the meetings and we get handed the plans and saying, this is what the staff wants. We're told that the staff works in the schools, so therefore they're gonna decide what's gonna happen with the school. So as a representative on your school board, I'm frustrated. I do not know, where do you want your board members to be? What are you expecting of me? If you want me to pursue or keep asking, I'll keep asking. At this point, I don't know what to do, so I'm asking for your input.
I'll give my personal opinion. I have strong feelings on consolidation. I think it needs to be responsible use of tax dollars that are out there. And everyone has old buildings. And I think it's a waste of dollars if we're going to build new buildings and put so many dollars into new buildings. It needs to be for the future. And I don't think it's sustainable to have the same school districts we have today. I think we're faced with the same problem we were back in when did Bold form? When did schools start consolidating? I think we're back at the same point, and maybe it's time that the community becomes more proactive in getting community members to voice their opinions if they feel the same, and then force the hand of administration of the schools. My opinion only. So I don't know if somehow we rally the communities to put some additional options out there that are not coming from the school districts. It's the voters that ultimately have the say. So they can say no all they want to the options, but if the correct options aren't given to them for choices, it's not helping anything. It's just prolonging the problem.
And as of now, they're gonna be content with the 51%. So you don't have to give me an answer tonight, but we have another meeting on the 17th. And either I'll come in with hopefully a ton of signatures, or like I said, I don't know. I was hoping just to get their attention, to say, wait a second, we need more options, not just the one.
How many signatures do you need on a petition?
Well,
Isn't there a number that gets recognized?
that I don't know. I was just hoping that we'd get more than just a couple hundred. But I'm asking for your input as community members, because I feel I'm not happy with the direction that we're heading. But I truly feel the community has to start coming in droves, and it can't be just a trickle effect. If you want something, come and speak boldly and loudly, and for all three towns.
Yeah.
Because if we wait till November, this is my only concern, if we wait till November, let's say, if it gets voted down. If it gets voted down, we just wasted 2 years.
I'm surprised after all these years that we can't get, I mean, when I was on the board, it didn't seem like we could talk to BLHS about consolidation. I was hopeful when Bolt did it a year or two ago, went over and met, but then I think that conversation, as I was listening to it, came out of there that we started to talk about how good the teachers were. Nobody's disagreeing with that, but I thought we were there to talk about facilities. The conversation never went there. So, I mean, I don't know why. I know that I talked to a lot of people in Hector that are very interested in talking to us about consolidation. I know there's a lot of people here that the same way. However, the majority of the people in power
Are we resisting?
seem to be resisting that conversation. I'm not sure why.
So maybe we need a petition on seeing where the community opinions lie, because if that's the consensus of community members, then that's what has to come out to force the hand of administration on both sides.
When is the next meeting? Teresa?
The 17th, next Wednesday.
Anybody seem like they want to talk to BLHS, or present company excluded, but is there anyone else that on our board that thinks that we should go down that path, or the
think-
superintendent over there did not, but she's not there anymore.
Right. So there's two other board members, but there's three of us, but there's seven. total.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said that about superintendent with her. My understanding was previously she wasn't interested. Maybe it's different now, but
Okay, so can I just ask one question? Thoughts about whether or not to proceed with this petition? There's a bunch of them out there right now, they're getting signatures as we speak.
I think you'll get the temperature of the community, then you'll know, right? I think if you come up with 10 signatures, if you come up with 100 or 200, then you'll know too. So I would encourage you or whomever is doing this to keep going down this path.
I do too. Yeah.
A lot of people maybe don't know. I mean, it's like you say, 400 out of 3,000 people, 400 out of 3,000 got surveyed. I didn't, I wasn't one of those people, but so I don't know how those were chosen, if they were randomly.
Somehow they were randomly chosen and.
Yeah.
Whatever, so, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
all
your
your
work,
legwork,
Teresa.
Teresa. All right, item number 3, the Bolton Make update, a preliminary engineering report.
I think that's us.
Yes.
Do all of you have a copy of the PER?
It's scary reading this, I just want to know that.
That's not the goal, but
It's like
sometimes it
another
happens.
language sometimes.
These are, I'll just pass around a sheet here, those are some of our talking points for tonight, so don't see the long list and get that worked up, it's gonna be a conversation, I think. We went over a lot of this in pretty good detail the last couple council meetings, so I'll just kind of go over a brief summary of what we're doing on each area. Right here, this is just how we started out with this was our original CIP plan that we came up with. We had these 5 segments here, Ranchwood, Fifth, Birch, plus this little extension in Cherry. And then at the previous meeting and after some conversations with Dave Wolfel, we added a few other areas of need to our PER and funding applications. So that is on the back side here. So just these areas that are highlighted in orange are what we're doing here. So the first area is Ranchwood. Just down at that corner, we're gonna be reconstructing the sanitary sewer. And we're gonna extend the water main out while we have the street ripped open. We're gonna push it out past the curb. There's an existing small water service that feeds off a few hundred feet into the street there, kind of near a hydrant. So all we're gonna do is push that main water main out to get it beyond the curb. So that way, when it comes time to do the rest of that run, we don't have to rip up the street again, basically. The reason we're doing the sewer here is because there's a maintenance issue there. Dave has had some serious problems with cleaning that manhole. There's a couple services that go into that manhole, and there's really flat grade coming down this way. But we can gain a little bit of grade if we take that and chase it out to the north and east there. So we can gain a few feet of grade and fix Dave's maintenance problem there. And he actually showed us that manhole in there where he's having all those problems, and it's definitely warranted. It's definitely something that should get fixed. Our second area is Fifth, just off the highway down to Ash Avenue. There we're gonna reconstruct the whole street surface, including all the pavement, curb and gutter. If there's any driveways or sidewalks in the area, we'll have to reconstruct those, or I mean. And then we're gonna redo the water main under there. That's a ductile or cast iron water main. And then we'll replace the services through there too with new PVC. Number 3 and number 4, that's Birch Avenue and 11th Avenue. That is gonna be our water main loop. Plus, we also have some storm sewer going out to the corner right by the splash pad. So on on Birch, we're gonna redo the whole street surface, curb and gutter in the works, same as on Fifth. But then only on 11th, we're gonna put the water main in the boulevard because the street's in good condition there and minimize our street costs. On Cherry Avenue, we're gonna reconstruct the full street, curb and gutter, street surface again, and then we're gonna fix the storm sewer there and size it appropriately. Right now, it's only a 12-inch storm sewer, and we're gonna size it to a 24-inch. That's what we calculated way back when we did the big project throughout the rest of town in 2006. The last area here is Elm Avenue. That's where Dave Wolfel, he found that lead service line. That water line is in poor condition to begin with, and there's some bad curb and gutter there. So we're gonna redo that water main. We're only gonna patch maybe 20 foot wide, since the street's still in okay shape. We're gonna fix the curb and gutter while we're there, since it's holding a lot of water. And then the last area that we have is the water treatment plant. Dave reached out to all you guys within the last month about the filter media at the water treatment plant and how that is not performing as well as it used to. So we're gonna get that on, at least get this on the PER. So then, part of all these, we are going to apply for funding. On page number 5, you'll see our total costs there.
That was the scary page.
I'll try and make it a little less scary here for you. On Ranchwood Drive, our total cost was just over 200,000. About 80,000 of that would be eligible for the water main funding through the Drinking Water Revolving Fund. On Fifth Street, the total is just under 300,000, and you can see 165,000 about is eligible for funding. On Birch Avenue, that's where we're gonna do the water loop, plus redoing the whole storm sewer and the street. Of that, 450,000, just under 200, actually, just over 200,000 is available or eligible for funding. On 11th Street, that whole thing is eligible for funding, so all 133,000. Cherry Avenue, since that's only street and storm sewer, that's all city cost right there. And then Elm Avenue, that's the same as 11th, since it's all water main, that is all eligible for funding, along with the water treatment plant replacing the filter. Yeah. So of that big number, that big scary number there, that next one over, that's the total estimated city cost. Everything else on that bottom, that would all be eligible for funding. Those are the separate categories there. Yeah, any questions?
I'd like just to add, that's not total grant, it's loan and grant possibilities. So, yeah, understand that.
Okay. And then if we applied for funding just at the last meeting, you guys approved the application, we got that sent in for the deadline, that was last Friday, I believe, so we have the applications for funding in, and hopefully we'll be hearing something back from that later this year. So in September or October here in the fall, that's when MDH and PFA, they announce who made the list. And that's when we'll start to see if we got awarded any funds or not. Assuming we do get awarded funds, we'd start moving forward with doing assessment hearings, survey, design and everything, and plan for 2024 construction. Dave here can touch a little more on the assessment part of that.
Yeah, the minutes. Got another handout for you, more paper. I just wanted to bring up, just remind the council again from the, on the special assessment policy. Right before Deb left there, she did send me the latest policy that the city has for assessments. On this, on my second page in of the handout there, I kind of highlighted some key notes there. Your first bullet item up there, number 1, the current policy on new streets. Okay, on new streets, I mean, none of these are new streets, so that will not enter into our conversation here. The current policy on reconstructed streets, well, which we have, for example, Cherry, Fifth, and Birch, those are all full width street repairs on there. So we would follow your policy of 20% assessed. So we figured out the cost for all of the excavation, the gravels, the new blacktops, the boulevard seeding and all that stuff. Put that into the pool or into one cost, divided by all of the footages of all of the streets. And then you get a unit rate and then take 20% of that. So that's what your policy says. Down below on number 3, your policy for new curb and gutter, again, remember, it's a kind of a play on words. New curb and gutter is 100% assessed. Tracy, I wrote on a reconstruct, it doesn't really, you don't have a separate category for new or for reconstruction of curb and gutter. So I put a question mark there, where curb and gutter need to be replaced due to no neglect by the property owner, no assessment is made. I don't really think, and if you go, we'll talk about here on the next couple pages, I don't think that's what your policy really says, or what, it's not what we did last time. Honor, I think your policy, my interpretation of what we did last time was 20% assessed. In other words, all of the street surface and the curb and gutter to be, and the concrete works to be assessed at 20%. Then down to number 4 there, the current policy on, it doesn't say here again, but I'm proposing that the intent there was for new sanitary sewer, because if you remember again, back in the 2018-19, we did not assess for any water works at that time. There was hardly any sanitary from before. And then down below, I wrote reconstruction of sanitary and water to be 0% assessed. I think that's your intent. So if it's reconstructed, it'd be 0% assessed. So if you flip through a couple pages there, if you find a nice one with green on there and the yellow, I've highlighted, and this is the last page in the report. You saw this already. I just highlighted the accessible items, the ones that we're just kind of going through there. So the first one would be number 1, 5th Street, Birch Avenue, and Cherry, the 3 full blocks of reconstruction, the 3 full blocks. That assessment rate following through, $545,000 worth of costs divided by 2,250 feet of frontage. So that's both sides of the street going up and down, adding all those together, divide that out, you get $242, and then divide by 5 or take times 20%. So if you lived along there and you had a 100-foot lot, your cost would be $4,850. So I'm just bringing this to your attention because we're probably going to have to agree on this fall if you move forward with a preliminary improvement hearing. So we'll have to kind of either live or change the policy a little bit here. On number 3, items 3, 5, and 7. We missed 4. Yeah. 3, 5, and 7 there. These are my curb and gutters there. And again, my keywords there is remove and replace. I'm interpreting those as your policy as for reconstruction areas, and I'll show this on the very last page here, that you would want to assess 20%. You'll have to tell me if that's not your intent when we finally get to the hearing. If we keep moving forward. Then lastly, on number 12 down there, water main looping. Remember, the policy says for for reconstruction of water and sewer, you don't assess. But if you have a new area, I'm assuming you do want to assess. Okay, now you could argue that these loopings here, well, everybody's already got water. Yeah, we got a water service. So you can see I don't have any water services, number 13 and 14 there. We got 0% on the services, but they don't have a main in front of their house. So these properties along Birch and 11th, forgive me, but they've extended their water services a long ways to get there or come from somewhere else. And I've seen that in many towns. They just keep running along 3/4 inch line or whatever, and they've never paid an assessment for the water main. Again, it's your policy. You'll have to tell us here come November or December if you want to assess for that or not. And that would be, it's obviously pretty expensive, $142 a foot. Then lastly, on the last page, just more for your use, Tracy, for consideration through the summer months. This was the last summary report that we did back in October of 19 there, 18 October 19. And you can see how we, in that first item there, number 1, ash, 5th, cherry, 6th, that was all the reconstruction of the surfaces. We threw all and that included all the concrete works. So Deb instructed me just throw it all into the 1, and then we divided it by, took it times 20%. So in other words, really all the concretes, curb and gutter, aprons, sidewalks were put into that number and just charged 20%. I broke them out separately this time here in case you wanted to assess, for example, the guys on the north side of Elm who already have disintegrated curb and gutter, if you would want to charge that 20%. The street repair there would be a part of the water, but not necessarily all of the curb and gutter, because all we would do is just cut through it if we, the 2 or 3 water services. Food for thought. Again, where we're just doing a 20-foot patch here and the same thing down here, theoretically just a 20-foot patch over the top of the sewer and water, we're considering those as repairs to the water and the sewer services, therefore not being assessed. Also, we summarize those into a bulk number when we applied for the PFA. So you'll see we took the total cost of 1.8 million and divided it for PFA reasons, by street reasons, and for assessment reasons. We divided it 3 different ways, or show a summary in those 3 different categories. We can flip and flop them around to get to your products.
So there's a number 4 and number 6 missing on that first page. Are those, is there anything
Did
material?
we just miss a number on there?
Probably didn't renumber them.
Just didn't
Yeah.
renumber them.
Yeah, we skipped the number. Couple numbers.
That would be my bad on that one.
I thought maybe that was where the credits came.
The totals do match.
Okay, all right.
We just got the advocate wrong. Yeah. So I guess with that, if you have any other questions on the report or the PFA, now it's kind of wait and see what we get back for funding. And, as we go through the summer months here, we'll all be watching the bonding bill and the legislature to see how that works its way out. And then, nobody forces you to do, the project either. When you get to that point, and if it's not lucrative for them to, or what their loan versus grant monies are, you could just table it for another year or modify the project. Any other questions?
Tracy, I think we will want the assessment policy on next month's meeting
Yeah.
as a topic of discussion. Yeah.
It's kind of
Thank
vague,
you.
but we've gotten by. I mean, the project back in 2006 and 7, 6, 7, 8, the big project. All we did there was, Jeff, you remember, we took the full cost of of the treatment pond fixes and the lift station, and the interceptor sewer, everything that wasn't in town, took those costs divided by the number of eaches or, utility hookups.
Yeah.
It was like $2,500. Everybody got the same assessment. So it was kind of generic. It wasn't really using your policy. And then we kind of skipped forward to the 14, the 18, 19 job was really the first reconstruction. We did 13th Street, but that was new, in between there. So it's been kind of a lull in your reconstruction projects since that big project.
There you go. Any questions?
Thank
for-
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Is there a timeline, Dave, on when we will hear on any funding?
Mostly it comes out like in September. Yeah, and then what they say is, after that is official, you've got 6 months to certify your plans. So you gotta make the choice after that. We can obviously ask questions to our PFA, Kathy Barrett, or the loan officer. Hey, what's our ratio look like it's gonna be? And then you can make your choice from there, but you have 6 months after that to submit your plans and specs for, they call it for certification.
Is it still Kathy Bird?
It is still Kathy.
Wow.
Yes. Remember that name? Yeah. It is. Kathy was our liaison with Deb for that big project. Still her. We never go away together.
Lifers.
Just like you.
No.
All right, thank you. You're up, Andrew. Sorry.
Very good.
You don't want it there.
2 kids and a wife. I'm getting old. For those that don't know me, I'm Andrew Hussman. I'll be your other contract car with Tom Sweeter, Deputy Ben Denwell. He was promoted to sergeant, and so I'm his replacement. Better, you win more with me, so it's a good thing. Things of note is, if you haven't seen it, we did abate 1060 Highway Avenue. We're still waiting on the total cost, the estimate for removal of the storage container, the RV and the trailer was approximately $3,500, was what was given to me as a very rough number, all depending on machinery used and time on scene. Hopefully we'll get a quote here within a week. If we don't, I'll reach out to my contact and see if we can get something sooner. The owner has until end of July to pay for the cost and to remove that from our storage. We're storing it in our facility. If he doesn't, it will be auctioned. Any money gained from said auction will offset the city's cost. So the closer we get there, the more in contact we'll be with Tracy about it, and hopefully we can make the city back some money that it's spent to abate this. Other things to note is in late March, we had car break-ins. 4 were reported. We ended up learning over 20 cars were opened and accessed. So with that, we were able to track down the suspects, get them identified, and we submitted for charging. The reason I bring it up is summer months are coming, people are gonna be out. With people out, kids out, typically juveniles, they like to open the cars and look at them. Hopefully everybody listening and anybody you speak with, lock your cars, keep all valuables out of it, but more importantly, get cameras. Cameras are huge nowadays. With the financial stress people are gonna be under with inflation, stuff like that. My hope is that they don't switch back to it like they did last year, but we had a bad string of burglaries last year. We don't want that. We're gonna do everything we can to avoid it, but let's protect ourselves and our property and give us a leg up if there's an issue. But more importantly, with the cars, with the kids out and about, we do want everybody to keep their valuable stuff out and lock your cars. I've spoken to Dave. I've also spoken to Tom Sweeter about this. I intend to hit the curfew ordinance hard this year. I want to make sure everybody that is out has a purpose that isn't illegal in means. And so if they're out being nefarious, I'm gonna kick them home. And I'm gonna set the standard really, really, really quick. We don't want any of that nonsense in Burr Island again that we've had in the past. We don't need that, citizens don't need that, I don't want that for that matter. So that is the intention. If you guys want me to do something different, or you don't want me to do that, please reach out to me. Or let me know right now. I mean, that's my take on this is, I'm kind of a shock value guy. You hit them hard, you hit them fast, and they don't do it the rest of the year. That's the goal. But if you want something different, I'm encouraging anything that you want this week.
Do you get a business card?
I do. Also, we haven't got to it, it's been pretty busy, but, Tom and I intend to have a blight list created within the next week. We're gonna ship it to Tracy, she's gonna send out letters. Do you guys wanna review it prior, or are you okay with us coming up with the list and then moving forward from there if there's any issues that need citation or, strong encouragement to change, we come to you with that. I leave it to you.
I think it's been your standard that's compiled the list in the past for our review, so I personally don't have an issue with the letters just going out if they make the list. I'm curious as to how well we did during the city cleanup days. People were able to take advantage of that and clean up some of the stuff that's sitting around, or?
And so I was talking to Tom about that a lot. He was actually very happy that it was early this year and that we hadn't done blight because he had seen over the weekend that there had been a lot of properties he had his eye on that had cleaned up some stuff. And so we're at least hopeful that it's not gonna be bad for that matter. So we'll see. Driving around town, it didn't look too horrible, onesie twosies here, nothing like other times I've been contract car for. So I'm hopeful that it shouldn't be too long of a list. So one thing that was brought up prior to the meeting, and I guess I'll bring it up now, is I have seen a few demo cars. And you know, so things like demo cars or miscellaneous storage things for said items isn't really addressed in the ordinance. I have no legal authority to address that if it were to become an issue. Now, I'm aware that we do demo every year and 100% support that. It's what does the city want? Do you want it addressed after, before, where do you stand? And that's where maybe another meeting with some more discussion on that style of ordinance and what it encompasses would be what you should do. I leave it to you.
I think in the past, we've been pretty lenient on the
Up to
the
them.
demo
on that,
cars,
right.
yeah, up to, especially, they're gonna be working on them all summer, so
Right.
it's after it's over, and now they say, oh, I'm going to use it again next year, and it's gonna sit here all year. That's another story, find another place to store it then,
So
so that's kind of the,
actively working on demo cars with the intent to use in the Derby this year, leave be.
If there's weeds going through it, and hasn't moved, don't have to let the.
Yeah.
Tree moving through go through the middle of it.
Right. Is there anything specifically any of the council members want to address? If you've seen that's a habitual problem, anything that we should be aware of that we're otherwise not seeing?
Tracy, how are we going to address those storage containers?
I've been looking at ordinances and trying to get a good, something good from other cities so we can.
Okay.
With that discuss, yes, I haven't really found a good ordinance. Some cities have them like in their zoning ordinance, like within their, but I haven't actually found a good ordinance just on that yet.
Okay.
But I'm looking.
I would equate it to temporary storage. Me personally, as an adult who owns a house, I put a shed in my backyard, it's not going anywhere unless the wind takes it. That to me is a permanent storage. I guess the way to look at it, if you were to do your own research, is look up temporary storage. Anything that deals with that is a time frame. So for example, your RV or your camper, your ice house, living in it, staying in it, residing in it, it's temporary. We allow for temporary things to occur for a short amount of time. You drop a storage container, that's not moving. It took us a fork from kibble and the city payloader to lift that thing up. It's going nowhere quick if you don't have the equipment. So to me, that would equate to more of a permanent storage due to just the sheer size and weight of it. Unless you have a crane sitting there at all times ready to pick it up, that would equate to more of a permanent storage and thus would fall under the city's permit. But does your definition of permanent storage reflect that, would be the question. Or permanent structure for that, does it reflect that?
We'll have to look at defining that then and get something into plans.
There's been, quite a bit of talk about that on the League of Minnesota Cities, just in general, different cities trying to
It's
address
that
the
mystical
issue.
loophole that nobody accounts for, that's all of a sudden coming out of nowhere to everybody.
I had asked Tracy the other day, and she's working on that, someone had asked me about like a golf car permit.
Mhm.
And again, Tracy's working on that, but that's something if you're gonna be enforcing the curfew, I think, as I read our ordinance, it talks about lights, it talks about not being out after dark.
Yep.
Some people might be at the ballpark watching the game, and the game might get done after dark,
No, and so
so.
I can speak to my department because I know we all have common sense. And we're not about to put the hammer down on somebody who's leaving the ballpark, right? We're looking for the nefarious people out doing what they shouldn't be at night. That's our concern. I see mom and pop leaving the ball game. Great, and be safe, get home safe, turn on your lights, right? That's the intention, right? Spirit in the letter. We operate a lot in the spirit, and when we have to, we hone down on the letter because people aren't listening. I actually talked to Tracy about this, so in Morton, we had issues with ATVs, for example. The city decided to adopt a policy that says to operate in the city of Morton, you must have an ATV permit provided by the city of Morton. At any time, the city can revoke it, and you're no longer able to operate in the city limits. And I told her, and Dave as well, if it becomes an issue, that may be something Bird Island adopts, right? If somebody is routinely breaking the rules, kids, parents are not enforcing the rules with the kids, is that something I can just revoke? And they no longer can drive the golf cart or side-by-side ATV, whatever it is you designate, in the city. I mean, that may be something to end the nonsense, because in the end, I'm all about peace and
Yeah.
quiet and people's happiness. Life's too short for nonsense, and so that's my focus in law enforcement, is everybody have a good time and be happy and be safe.
All right, council have anything additional for sheriff's office? No, I appreciate the update.
Of course.
I'll
Obviously,
take one too, if you have one.
yes, at any time,
I don't need one.
For Bill?
you know people, right? At any time, please reach out, any questions, issues. I'm a huge believer in communication is the key to any successful strategy. I talk to her more than I care to admit. But my goal is, that way we're always relaying stuff off each other, and there's never a question as to what's going on, what we're doing, why we're doing it. It's, I'm an open book, if you want an answer, just call me. I mean, half the people in this room have my cell phone number, I keep it on me at all times, ask my wife. I'll answer any question you got, but I'm always open to suggestions, ideas, or if there's an issue that needs addressing, please reach out. Cause, I don't wanna hear about it at a council meeting when it happened last month. Let's deal with it now, let's get it done and addressed, so. Ever any questions, please reach out right away,
Sounds good.
alright?
Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Thank you, you too.
Just so you know, Andrew bid this shift. It wasn't like that's what's left and he's stuck with it, so.
No one shows this. He's always next to you, Julie. Have a good night.
Thank you.
It's always the new guys at the bottom of the totem pole when they bid for their shifts and they're like, oh, man. All right. Moving on, splash pad update.
Yeah.
Corey, sorry to make you wait.
Yes, well, interesting. Just a little update. The most important update is that I finally got confirmation from the company that we will be installing the splash pad the last week in July or first week in August. And then it should be completed, concrete and everything by the end of August. So ready to go is a plan. They have had a late spring, but that's our set date right now, with the weather and stuff. Just kind of some numbers, I know Neil likes numbers. The final cost for the splash pad, 7 features, we added some limestone rock at one side of it. Yeah, just some numbers for the splash pad is $125,000, $119.20. Engineering fees, roughly anywhere from 10 to 15,000. I know Ben was gonna donate some of it, but when it's all said and done, that will be what I'm kind of budgeting for. S&J Jacobs has offered to make the pad for free, so they are gonna do the pad for us, which is a great number. And then we have John Lankenau out of LNH Concrete out of Wilmer. John was a former classmate of mine, and he is gonna do the concrete, and we have an estimated bid of $35,000. I said that wrong. Yeah, 35,000, yep. And then K&S with Dan Smith electrical work is gonna be a bid of 3,000. So roughly that's $178,119. I do not have a bid for landscaping. I have someone that has agreed to do some of the landscaping, but I don't have a number for that. Because we didn't know what that looked like, so if we get the DNR grant, it could be a lot of landscaping. If we don't get the DNR grant, it's really just seeding around the splash pad. So we don't have a bid or a number for that one. Also, we have some water expenses to hook up, curb and gutter, water lines, etc. We didn't really know what to do with those numbers exactly. Ben probably does, he's probably shaking his head at me, but I just have like roughly 10,000 for that. Our balance right now in splash pad is $180,894.52. So if we don't have a ton of extra expenses, we are like right there. So, yes. We do have some fundraisers coming up. For Island Days, we have a raffle we're gonna do. We just got the license number today, so we'll get those printed. So we have a raffle. We have a fun run, June 17th. We also are gonna do a band on that Saturday. Kind of excited about that. The only thing that we're trying to fine tune is the whole beer garden situation. That's been something, learning something new. So, we're working on that. And then we also have like a farmer's market. So we're feeling like we got about 10,000-ish to 14,000 roughly in there, depending what our final numbers are. So we're hoping that we don't have to come and ask for money. We're gonna keep fundraising. So that's where our numbers are there. And then the city got a pickleball grant for 40,000, and I still have not looked through the DNR grant. I'm sure you haven't either, but because if we get the DNR grant, can we use the pickleball grant together? Because the pickleball grant is in the DNR grant, so it's something we need to look at if we get the DNR grant. So I haven't really dug into it too much.
When will they make a decision on that?
So last year Deb found out the week of Island Days, so in June, yeah. So I'm hoping that when I come to the next city council meeting, Casey has wonderful news for all of us.
I believe that's the week of Island Days as well, so.
Yeah. So yeah, but with the pickleball, we can't do anything until we find out what the DNR grant, because with the DNR grant, you can't touch the land until we find out. But we would need to remove the tar that's there for the old tennis court. And so that is something I was wondering if going forward with that, is that something the city workers could remove to save costs? Just trying to. And so.
No, mine is frugal.
Frugal. Yeah. If that was something we could ask the city, if something the city workers could do. Okay, that's my eye contact. And then, also I did send a bid out for concrete on the pickleball court, sidewalks, because John from LNH Concrete said, if I'm there for the splash pad, I might as well do the other things. So he's willing to do the other things, I just don't have a number for him yet. Because the $40,000 grant won't cover the whole pickleball business. So we'll have to look at that. And then the city will have to decide, do we just want for the concrete for the pickleball courts, or do we want something more? A little spring in it, or acrylic finish, something. But we have some, we can wait on that, I'm just telling you that's what I'm gonna bother you about in the future. So, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where we are with all of those things.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Dave, do you know how thick that tar is?
On the, there's no.
It's Oh, it's all crumbled?
Yeah,
So it would be fairly easy to scoop out of there.
Easy to rip up.
might be fun on a day or a
Well, you guys get the land acquired, then we can start playing.
You know, speaking of that, we have an agreement with the old school board that once we take, when we're ready to build, we take ownership of it, so I should really visit with them about that.
The sooner the better, if you don't want the fence and all that stuff gone, I mean. At the end of June, so we're gonna be able to help.
Yeah, that's a good, I will do that.
Lions will have a work night the fourth Thursday of May, 25th, I think it is.
Say, I bet we could get some community groups together to work that. The city staff may not have time during the work week to.
Maybe get shot.
The
I think it'll be easy.
It's already down, isn't it?
Yeah, we took that down 2 years ago or something.
They'd still be laying there, I don't
Pull
know.
the post out, I don't know.
Do we have any use for that?
We got a metal dumpster that the stuff from 2 years
Oh.
ago is going into now.
All right,
Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to use fencing anymore.
Yeah, so do you guys have any questions for me? No?
Maybe not. Good job.
thank you.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Am I in trouble?
8, 7,
I just like to know beforehand.
No, I never get email from John.
My John or John Lincoln? Okay,
No, I mean,
okay.
Did we ever decide or figure out if our water project and looping over there was gonna set you guys back? Did we ever figure that out?
We did, we're just gonna, Ben figured out, we're just gonna connect, there's a main that runs right under the splash pad.
Okay.
And we are gonna connect to that until 2024, when they do the looping project, then we'll get it all hooked up the new way.
Okay,
But for now, we can still set up with that,
okay,
and that's, yeah. So
Okay.
that's part of the expenses that I don't know, that 10 to 14,000, what that looks like for hookup.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
We'll sub out.
A little bit of sanitary food to get over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then try to include me in your next meeting too.
this meeting? or-
Splash pad.
Oh, okay. We talked about going to Plaza, so.
That's disappoint you then, there you go.
Okay. All right. Dave.
All right, thank you, Corey.
Thank
Anything
you.
further for Corey?
Thank you.
Yep. If not,
Thank
yes,
you.
thank you. All right, Public Works Maintenance Department report.
I can't emphasize enough that we just got by the skin of our teeth on the flooding issue, with the ditch backed up. Sandbagging on Easter Sunday was just about it. I'm glad the ditch went down, everything worked out good, the city pumped a lot of water that just seemed to disappear, but I've never seen the city so inundated. However, the information's not getting passed along, the education isn't happening to the homeowners, because we've never pumped 1 million gallons before, we did this year without a rain event. And I mean, some pump hoses just did not get out there fast enough. And I wanna go back to Neil's comment last month, well, mine still froze, a lot of people, others were still froze too, but our system can't handle that, we were in peril with reaching our ponds, that we were forced to continuously discharge as much as we were getting all the time.
So what's the homeowner, what options do they have then? If the lines are frozen, what options do they have?
In my opinion, every homeowner should have a stub out through the wall, that he is able to hook a hose, flexible hose on and take it out to the street.
So they need to be proactive with having a backup plan and.
Yeah, and Julie, that's very important, because a lot of people took the same stance that Neil did, and you're talking about not knowing what it does to our sanitary system, so I really think it's gotta be an education thing, as to what happens. I really don't, I'm sure my test results are there now that I can total up now, if we're gonna violate our phosphorus permit or whatever, but until you get the test results a week after the water's gone, you don't know exactly where you're at. So we're holding our water right now with the hoping that we're gonna stay under it, and if we have to do another discharge here in May, we will. And I anticipate that, but we might have to do some treatment to make sure that we stay under that will be costly. So because of all the extra water, it's costing us more money to get rid of our sanitary water. So more sump pump hoses that you don't see means more dollars cost to the city. Dawn and I were talking about doing some type of notice, put the bird sign, in the boulevard, hey, thanks for getting your sump pump hose out, to make people realize this is what you need to do. This person's doing it right, instead of being, going after the negative side, saying, here's your fine, So, but, we have to do more on fixing this. It's a problem every spring, but this was nuts this year. So, sanitary is doing fine, we're all caught up right now. The storm system we're gonna have a big electric bill, I don't know if Tracy's seen that yet, but the storm pump never shut off. So, streets, we were fortunate to get all the curbs cleaned up, so that junk didn't get down in the pipes. We do have one partial obstruction on Cherry Avenue that we've gotta work out yet, and I put a bunch of tree root killer in there last fall. And been able to slide a fiberglass tape through it, but I'm not carrying the plug with me, so there's something going on there. And we'll have to jet that line and televise it. I can shove a camera 150 feet up one end, we just have a push camera, but we might have to get a crawl camera and do something there to see what's happening. We got all our trees down, our hazardous trees that we needed an aerial on, and then the hangers. Hurley was able to come, unfortunately, that was during our cleanup days, so we were running kind of rampant and very thin crewed here. Tracy was doing office work as well as being out there, same with Dawn, and of course, everything else happened, so it worked out, but it took a big effort on everybody's part. Bill came in and helped, Krista was helping, it was all good. We did everybody, so, and I agree, too, that having an early event did help with a lot of the light stuff. I think it was too early, but I can see why you guys wanted to do it early. I see the benefit for it, where else, a lot of places were muddy yet. So I'm very happy that 1060 got cleaned up, and yes, it was a bugger down there. I guess I don't need to go on to that anymore. Yeah. We did pick up a metal dumpster that we have at the city parking lot there that we have from Charlie. We're gonna be throwing a bunch of our stuff in that metal dumpster instead of Bernie's, which we used on fairgrounds last year. So I expect that to be around for about 10 days here yet. I've got a lot of vacation time I have to use and stuff, so I go a little longer than that. Any questions on? We did get a call too from John Deere. They were supposed to tell us when the backhoe was gonna get built. Well, they told us it's sitting in Marshall. The new backhoe is sitting in Marshall. So Tracy's got a wave her magic wand here and get it financed.
Okay.
They were gonna tell you when it was gonna be built, and now it's in Marshall?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, 'cause they told us like October or something.
Yeah. The hazardous tree,
What's that?
hazardous tree,
Good
you
to have.
wanna speak about that? Did you talk to me about the hazardous tree?
Hazard in the streets.
Hazardous tree.
Hazardous streets.
Tree.
Trees. Oh, we do have an identified, well, I know, we do have an identified hazardous tree on the 1060 property. The homeowners a little bit worried about the branch falling on their garage. And at the suggestion of Andrew, we should get the process going as long as we were there and observed it, so we're doing that. So in my mind, we should give the homeowner a certain amount of time, and if he's not gonna take care of it, go ahead and take care of it. So I've seen ordinances from 10 days to 30 days, depending upon how hazardous the situation is, and I see no reason why we can't wait for 30 days, but, Tracy and I are looking for direction from the council as to how you wanna go about that. The last time we had a hazardous tree designation was several years ago, and the owner used to retake it down. I don't think it's gonna happen on this one.
My fear would be with the amount of wind that comes through that area of Grenville County, that if we get a big windstorm, that will make things worse. It may come down sooner rather than later.
Depending on which way it falls.
Yeah, we can get so lucky.
Is it in like our property right of way?
Total private property.
So wouldn't that then be the homeowner's responsibility to take care of their own hazardous trees?
Absolutely, and it's my position to recognize hazardous trees in town, and I'm recognizing it.
And we don't have an ordinance stating that if, you know, city staff states you have a hazardous tree that you need to remove it? Do we have anything?
City staff could remove this tree.
No, I'm stating is, do we have an ordinance that lets you guys declare a tree hazardous, making the homeowner have to remove it?
We have a tree board, yeah.
We do.
Yeah, tree
Okay.
board, yeah.
It's just what's the protocol, notifying them.
Correct.
They're
Is that laid out in the
seasonally not
ordinance?
around,
Is that
or,
laid out in the ordinance possibly? I don't know. In the tree board,
I didn't know.
Like, is there a
I think-
fine and cost of takedown, is that all addressed in there too?
we'll have to pull it out and look at it,
Okay.
and see what it says.
Okay.
All right, anything further for city maintenance?
Could I add something to Dave's agenda there? Just one thing I kind of forgot, on my handout, we had number 2 and 3 there, the phosphorus management plan. The city has, every 5 years, you're required to update your sanitary sewer, national pollutant discharge elimination system, sewer permit for out at the ponds here. In that permit renewal, sometimes they have special conditions. One of their conditions in this last round was to update their previous or their record phosphorus management plan, which was last updated in 2010. So Dave and Tracy are in the process of updating that, just to let you know, and if you need assistance, let us know on that. Then the other thing that's in, sooner or later coming down the pipe for Dave, and Dave, you probably updated the council, is your, the Minnesota Department of Health has issued an order, I don't know, whatever it's called, a note to all the cities that you shall provide a listing by October 16th of 2014, a written listing of all the.
2024.
2024. A listing, October 16th of 2024, of all your water services in town, and if what their composition is, copper, polyethylene, lead lines, or steel lines with lead service. So that's on the city's to-do list. And just to let, in our conversations with Dave, and Dave's been to the Minnesota Rural Water departments this morning. The PFA is sooner, as early as June, we're hearing, June or July, coming out with funding available to help the cities do that work.
Is that,
Have you
is that
started
all?
We're gonna be doing that on our new Silversmith. They actually have software to retain that, and Dawn's already loaded all of our water service, and she's gonna do it by account number and stuff, so,
Okay.
we're on our
I
way.
was gonna say, isn't that something that can go right into those tablets and
Yep.
when it's readily available?
So you've started on the kind of the written, what you know so far?
She just loaded the information, the general, so we get something to tab onto, so we don't have to load the information and everything.
Is that all the way to the house, all the way to the house?
Yes.
Well, I guess the good thing is we did a project 20 years ago that we have a lot of the information, not all of it, we have a lot of it.
Well, we've got some of the information from the streets to the curb stops.
Yeah, but we should know with the picture, we should know what it goes up to.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's identified in our water meter
Yes.
replacement project as well, too, was called out there. So we've got a number of sources that we can use.
I suspect that software will just let you run a report too, and it's be a citywide report of.
Yeah, they're really geared up on that. So let's go one step further on it. Minnesota Department of Health is so far behind this and with the grant writing and stuff that they're expecting the city to take care of their water service lines from the main to the curb stop, but the grant application will be, so homeowners will be funded through the house, so it does get taken care of. They are really committed to getting this done.
So if we know where all the hookups are from the meter, at the meter, or a lot of them, you know, do we just have to go inside the house? I mean, do we have to dig it up, and just go inside the house and look at what's off the
Yeah.
meter and be done the inside meter? I mean, sorry, the curb stop. We know it's at the curb stop with the majority of our stuff, because we've done a lot of it. We just go to the house and look at what's hooked up to the meter essentially.
We've got 20 blocks of old water main, 28 blocks of, however you wanna call it.
I know we don't have all,
But we don't know. And then those are the houses that we will be going in that aren't identified on our water meter swap out. It's not identified. Anything that we don't say is plastic or copper is gonna be considered lead.
So I know Dave, Paul, we had you guys do about 20 years ago, we had you guys do a survey and all those. And you guys walked around and clicked all that data. I don't remember what the hell it was now. It was a long time ago we did something. You guys had to put some data.
Some pumps maybe?
Maybe, I'm not sure. I think it was something, but I'm just saying, is that something you guys could give us a bid on to do that? So our city staff, which is so small, that could do that part of it for us?
The sump pumps or this water?
The water.
Yes, yes.
I think we should at least find out what.
And when the time comes, yeah, right. And I agree that your Silversmith is the way to do it, but you still gotta populate it.
Still gotta put the
You
data.
still gotta go and
Right.
chase all the old
Yeah.
plans and records and so, and like it's on the outline there, there's kind of 3 steps to it. Research the records and provide the listing. There's gonna be some you don't have. I mean,
Right.
maybe 25%, 20%. Those are the ones you got another step and go and either look in the houses or, back, hopefully you don't have to do it, back the service and find what it is, and then lastly here. But there is potential funding coming, and it sounds like that's gonna be 100% funding.
Yep.
To do the research grant, 100% grant funding. For the research and the listings.
I just think, I mean, we have such a small staff, it'd be good if we could get a price of what it would cost.
Just bringing that to your attention. Dave's kind of aware of that.
Aren't 1, 2, and 3, aren't they 3 separate grants that are available too?
That's what we're.
That's what we're hearing anyways right now.
And we don't know if it's gonna be all in one, all brought forward all at one time, or the first grant is just that first step. And then a year later, or 6, and then afterwards.
So just be phases.
Yeah, phases. But even in being proactive, you've already taken one step and you got 2 blocks on our PER and the PPL to replace the lead service lines.
One thing we included in that PPL application was we broke out the lead service lines. It's kind of a assumed cost to do those lead service lines. So if something does come around, we're already planning for that.
You might get 100% of funding for that, but only 50% on the water distribution mains, So, thank you.
The other part of my report was, there you got a wastewater pond capital improvement grant for people that are enrolled in the optimization program, which Rhode Island is. One of the faults that happened, what we recognized when they wanted us, part of the optimization program was to fill one pond as full as we could. And when the compliance officer came out and he saw that, he's going, well, you're supposed to have 2 foot of riprap above your highest water mark. Well, okay, we have riprap up to our maximum operational height of 6 foot, but now he's asking for 2 more feet. So they are funding this because other ponds are in the situation, so I would like the city to apply for additional riprap, into the full amount of the grant of $25,000. And the paperwork is involved with it, it was due by the 1st of May, Tracy and I kind of said, this ain't gonna get done. We only found out a couple of days before, and then, now they extended to the 15th of May. If you guys are interested, we'll work on it to make it happen.
Is there a matching piece to the grant, do you know?
The percentage is in there, Tracy, if you didn't read it, I saw it
didn't
there, but
see it.
didn't pay, it wasn't, that's not my project was get the work done, you guys are paying for it.
I
I
didn't,
didn't pay attention to it,
yeah, I didn't see that part when I was looking at it. Or do we have any idea how much you
I
think
think
it
it
would
was
cost?
25%, and it's paid by the city, and 75% was grant, if I remember right. It was in the cover letter. See that here.
Have you had problems, Dave?
Yeah, here it is. Match of at least 25% of the grant is required. The requirement can include in-kind contribution as well as cash match. So we might be able to move back over. So.
You wanna see that?
Um,
Well, it doesn't hurt anything to submit the application.
Sure.
See how the numbers play out.
You made it sound like it was pretty automatic, you know, it's because we're in the optimization program, because he knows we need it. And $25,000 will not rip and crap me all the way around, but I can get two sides done for sure.
I was gonna say, do we have an estimated cost as what you think it would cost to do this whole thing?
Well, maybe we wanna hire these guys.
Just curious.
Well, if you're thinking the 25,000 will get you halfway around, are we
So
safe to
then-
say 50,000 then?
Well, good enough for me, I mean, we just do until the money's gone. I mean, so, okay, the wind for us comes out of the northwest part, so I'm gonna do the east and the south side, which is showing the most erosion. You know, Dusty and I have been patching our own in and stuff in the wear areas, we have a rock pile out there and dig it out and do it. So,
Even at a $50,000 bill, 25%, which is.
oh, I wouldn't advocate to do the whole thing, I just do it until then, exhaust the grant.
Is this a recurring grant, or this is just something that they just threw
Just
out there?
popped
and-
up. It just popped up. I think they got a pile of money there, you know, especially on the water side, and the sewer's getting it too, that they wanna get the people that are trying, the optimization people, you know, they wanna get their corrections done, so.
I think we need to take advantage of it while it's there and
Agreed.
see where it gets us. Need a motion and do we need a vote to go ahead with the grant on this, or? Do you like one? Is there any further discussion on this topic? Always entertain a motion to approve Tracy to submit a grant application. I will so move for the pond optimization. Moved by Krista, seconded by Jeff. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Good deal. Anything else, Dave?
No.
All right, thank you. Does council have anything else for maintenance?
Yeah, you said that tree, that the hazardous tree on private property, that is just a tree, or is it a tree, or is it just a branch?
Well, it's, what the structure of this tree is, the bottom trunk is starting to decay, but the big problem is halfway up this tree where it's dead, and the branches are forked off on the dead part, so this thing could fall anytime, and it's got multiple branches towards the house as well as the neighbor's garage.
Okay, well, section 191 of our tree ordinance says that, dead or diseased trees on private property, the city shall have the right to cause removal of any dead or diseased tree on private within the city. So the board, the ordinance gives us permission. 191.
So if he doesn't do it, the homeowner doesn't do it, we would do it, and it gets added to the tax.
City shall have the right to cause removal of any dead or diseased tree.
Yeah, the sheriff's department thought we should give them at least like a month's notice, just because we
In
didn't,
the letter, be done with it.
yeah. And then once that,
So we'll go back, yeah, so we're gonna do that.
So you want me to make a motion approving
For that?
Write the letter?
Yes, please.
Please, I make a motion that we write the letter to the homeowner, based on ordinance 199, to remove that tree.
I'll second.
And deemed by, make sure the people involved, not just you, because you're 5 and you're 4, whatever it is.
Shot Tracy Lettery, Hurley looked at it, and Dan Wolf, myself, and Dusty, so the one was missing was Bill. I'll take him out there and show him.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not heard, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. All right, moving on to item number 7, temporary street closures for Island Days events.
So moved.
Second.
I think these are all the same as what we've done in the past.
A little discussion, just a quick discussion. Are there any other streets that weren't, that people didn't ask to close last year that should have made a request? I thought there was something that you and I talked about yet, but I can't remember
I
where
don't
it
know
was.
what it was either, but I thought they got it on, but we talked to Dawn about it, so I think they got it on.
Maybe you got it, okay.
Wasn't it Ash? It was Ash that we needed to be closed for being during last year? Wasn't that what it was?
Different than this, but.
Wasn't that during this though?
That
But
was
they-
sponsored by one of the,
Right, they came.
Ours was next
The bar is closing.
Thank you. Thanks, thank you guys.
thank you.
I can't remember. I
I remember what you said, I think we got it.
you think it's covered? All right. Thank you.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve the temporary closing of these streets during Island Days. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Peddler permit.
so I had somebody calling last week from a community solar garden wanting to know if we allow peddler, but, door to door, because they wanted to get people to set up, sign up for community garden and, or solar.
garden.
Yeah, and educate people about it. And so I asked Deb about it because I wasn't sure on what the policy was, and then she informed me that we had this resolution in place and that it just never got revoked. So as of right now, we still are not allowing any peddler permits. And so there would need to be a discussion on if we should allow that like, again now, or
That was for the place we gave COVID, right, I think?
right. If we want to reenact the peddler permits, we're not.
The medical people in ours, what do you guys think?
May 11th is when it's expired. Yeah. So I would say our ordinance would be, because it said, during the peacetime state of emergency, and that ends on
It's almost done, yeah.
May 11th.
So I think it's gonna automatically expire, what you're saying.
I thought we had something else in place prior about people, peddlers.
There is a actual peddler ordinance, and so if we want to allow that to be reenacted or not, I thought, I was going to go look.
For some reason that we had that separate from this.
Because I had originally found that, and then when I talked to Deb and she told me about something with COVID, that's when I went and found this resolution showing that they weren't. I don't, of course, I didn't pull that out. But there, yes, there was an actual ordinance for
We'll
peddlers.
talk about that next month. if,
Yeah.
If that's okay with you.
I assumed this automatically went away when the
I think that's-
time state of emergency expired. And I assumed it would automatically revert back to what we had previously. But maybe that's just my assumption.
I didn't even realize that this was there until Devin pointed it out to me, so I wanna make sure that it was okay.
Perfect, good.
Okay, so we don't need any action on this evening. Moving on to item number 9, approving one-day on-sale beer license for the Legion for June 17th at the fairgrounds
No, that's sort of,
for the Beachlands 50th anniversary celebration. Yep.
so moved.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Alright,
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Personnel policy amendment to include Juneteenth.
So we followed the league's Minnesota holidays, paid holidays, and the state approved Juneteenth being a state holiday as of August
I don't think
first
we have a choice.
of 2024. However, there might be, some people in the legislation are trying to get it moved to 2023, and so it's whether or not we'll need to update it, but when we want to have it effective.
But the way I understand it is, even if we didn't put it on our ordinance, we couldn't do any public business on this date though.
Right,
Because
but we
of
still
public,
need to amend our,
I understand,
Yeah.
but that's the way I understand it is that we couldn't do any public business in the state, even if we wanted to not approve it. We couldn't, you know, that's the way I.
It is to be active when? August of 2024?
it's supposed to be active of August first of this year, but they are potentially trying to get it pushed through right away for,
So that this June would,
yeah. And so whether the council, when they want to have it amended in the personnel policy,
Yeah, well,
they're effective,
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
effective. for
Effective this June
2024.
or, Next
Good
June.
point, next June.
Next year.
I think whenever,
Or-
you got a motion.
Whatever.
yeah, it's your motion. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Well,
effective next June unless it's.
When it becomes law.
approved.
The reason I say next June,
Or
because we
at
didn't
what
put it in our budget for this year. That's where you, so give us a year to put the money to a budget for PTO, or for holiday.
Except if it gets pushed through for this year.
Well, then we
don't
have no
a
choice.
Don't have a choice.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Was there a second?
Yeah, I second.
Seconded by Bill.
Clarity, whenever it becomes law. Is that correct?
That's fair.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Great. Anything else anyone would like to bring before the council at this time? If not, we will officially close this meeting.